Okay, everybody, welcome to the engineer class training on Tuesday, May 26th, 2020. We're going to cover the two operational standards for engineer and what the kind of tools and capabilities one can use as an engineer to support the squad and become effective. So let's go ahead and make sure everybody's over here. So I want everybody to stand near me, please. Dervon, Stiffy, let's go. Oh, Stiffy's getting coffee, right? So maybe we'll wait for a second for him to get coffee. My mouse is dying, I think. It's acting up every time I right click.
I had to order a new gamepad this morning because mine broke.
Brutal. Okay, come on, Stiffy. She's a knife him.
He didn't wake up.
Okay. So he's still not awake, eh? Okay, why don't we quickly go over some things then? Why don't we come over here and just look at what the class has as capabilities and all that fun stuff. Is Stiffy here now? Yeah, there he is. Okay, so engineer class. Main thing for the engineer is to repair friendly or its own kind of assets, units, stuff like that, right? The main weapon of the engineer by default is the carbine. They can also use scout rifles. Pistols are the same as everything else. Their tool is obviously the nano armor repair kit versus the nano medic blah 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 blah. So I've done the ASP thing so that way I can get away from the carbines because I'm not a very big fan of them. I also am wanting to shoot more than the scout rifle and have the availability of the utility with the smoke launcher. So that's why I don't necessarily have that weapon equipped here. But however, for the sake of this video and this training, I'm going to change. So we're going to go to the Jaguar, which is a good one. Okay. Uh, Carbines generally are a lot like assault rifles, or it's not assault rifles, some machine guns, in that they're usually better as a hipfire weapon than they are as an aim down sight weapon. There are some exceptions to that, obviously. However, usually they're geared that way. Scout rifles, the opposite. You don't want to scout or hipfire with them. Okay. You can also use shotguns. Excuse me. Which are always fun, like the Nighthawk. And depending on the situation, you're going to want to say, you know what, screw the freaking Jaguar, let's go for a shotgun. But that's not what the purpose of this video is, or this training is, okay? So, carbines, you just got to remember, if you're using the carbine, you want to try and gear it towards the hipfire, which means that laser sight. If you're going for the scout rifle, go for the rangey kind of thing. And the nice thing about the AMR 66 specifically is that you can use the utility smoke grenade launcher underneath it as well and still get that high end damage if you get those headshots. Shotgun, same thing as the SR or the carbine. Might as well go for the hipfire style. That way it's quick shoot, quick draw, quick flick of the wrist, and boom, you're getting them in the head. Okay, the Dragoon is a great option as a scout rifle. 100%. And some of the carbines that I would suggest are the NS11C, the Jaguar, the Cougar. The Track 5 isn't terrible as far as I remember. And yeah, that's about it for that. And the way of
The
yep.
Track 5S has the underbarrel.
Oh, does it? Where's the Track 5S? Do I not have the Track 5S? It does have an underbarrel. Interesting. How much is the Track 5S? What's the difference between that and the Track 5?
You lose a little bit of rate of fire to gain the underbarrel and select fire.
Where's the Track 5? Track 5. Because now I want to look at this. So if we look at the Jaguar, it's obviously less of that, more of some other things. Excuse me. Track 5. Yeah, I see. Okay. Reload speed is a little slower too, but you do get a little bit more in the hip. Okay. That's interesting. So there's an option. If you want to use the utility, smoke grenade, grenade launcher, all that fun stuff. And boom, it's your own kind of mixed bag. Though, since I've done the ASP, and I'm not encouraging people to, and I'm not saying that you have to, I prefer the Cycler, T1S Cycler, because assault rifles are awesome. Okay. The repair tool, obviously you want to get to 6 as fast as possible, because that's where it really has the most bang for buck, and has the most effect. Utility-wise, lots of different options one can do. Spitfire auto turret, automatic turret that acts sort of as a semi-detection kind of thing as well for cloaks. A hard light barrier, which stops enemy incoming fire until it expires or is destroyed. It can pretty much also stop people from just running through doors without doing anything. And mana turret for the anti-vehicle, kills tanks. I don't find it that useful anymore. It used to be very useful before they had the short bow and the archer. Now the archer and the short bow really just, make it so that you can be a little more dynamic as opposed to a static, offering, better options for cover, all that jazz. Anti-infantry mana turret, though, is one of the main staples of the engineer, especially early game. It can act as a heavy assault without being a heavy assault, right? The only problem is you're static. So you have to know how to plant the thing. And usually that means planting on an angle. So that way when you turn the turret, it offers more cover for you, especially if you can get it on that sweet spot around a corner. Okay? The suit. Really, nanoweave armor is probably your best bet, unless you're going to be doing total anti-armor stuff. Then you can probably go for either mine carrier or demolition pouch, depending on what you're trying to do. But I'm a fan of the grenade bandolier in an infantry sense, because of what I use it for, right? So in a squad situation, you're trying to support the squad. Your main thing is being a support class, right? You're not there to get all the headshots, all that stuff. You're there to provide ammo, repair stuff that needs repaired, and pretty much just support the rest of the squad. So grenade bandolier is what I use in conjunction with smoke grenades, because lately we've found that smoke grenades can do a heck of a lot to support a push, right? Especially tie that in with the smoke launcher. You've now got 7 smokes that you can use and deploy to get a perfect kind of smoky, push on a point, or to cover for an advance, or distract them from being able to shoot at you. Okay? And then last but not least, the utility has a whole whackload of things one could do. Tank mines for anti-armor, C4, same thing. Claymores for anti-infantry, reserve highlight barrier, medic kits, blah blah, the whole works. The thing you'll probably use the most, depending on what you're trying to do, is Claymore's hardlights, C4, and tank mines. Tank mines will probably be your staple for when you're doing anti-armor. Claymore's is a great one to use. If you have a Claymore and a mana turret, for example, you can actually do some very hilarious things, and do a lot of kind of minor point holding, or even stopping or sorry denying enemies from approaching certain ways or positions. Okay, tie that in with a shotgun as well. You've got a nice combo for a close combat kind of control and denial situation. Um, the nice thing too is now that they got the tacticals equipment thing, it just makes the engineer much more important in my opinion because caltrops for anti-armor even can be used as an anti-infantry role for certain doorways. But having the availability to put two mana turrets down is amazing, and hard light canopies also amazing, right? Nothing like dropping two freaking mana turrets and a hard light barrier, or even a C4, or whatever, right? It might be to stop the enemy from making major pushes, or if they get on point, they got to deal with a whole bunch of firepower along with yours. Okay, but the hard light barrier is just another thing to stop air from just destroying you, depending on the situation. Melee is melee. Implants, some good implants for the engineer is ammo printer, especially if you're in a tank, right? Because there's multiple ways the engineer is used. Well, there's two main ways, right? Armor and infantry, right? So ammo printer can be great if you're in a tank because then you never have to use an ammo tower again. Some other good ones. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm so tired. I've been trying out the electrotech one, but I haven't been necessarily bought into it. But essentially, when your shield breaks, it releases a pulse of repairing nanites that'll heal allied mechanical objects within 10 meters, right? So the reason why I'm trying it out is because of how many AI turrets, or sorry, Spitfire turrets that are being able to be deployed now. If I end up losing my shield, it starts repairing them if they need repairs, right? And that's just at level 2 right now. Another good one, if you want to see through the smoke, infravision could be a good one. What's the other one I have on though? Regeneration is decent as well because that allows you to regenerate health when you're out of combat. So if you can sneak away in a corner real quick, you can just get that health gained over time passively, and your headshots, if you can aim for that head, restore 50 health immediately, right? Every time. So, does anybody have any other suggestions in the way of implants?
Survivalist.
Survivalist is always a good one too. So again, survivalist. Oops, did not want to do that. Survivalist is your shield recharge delay is passively reduced by 1 second. In addition, whenever your shield breaks, you sprint like crazy, and your reload speed is increased by 15% for the same duration. So always
Goes very well with the engineer passive of increased shield regen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now that we've gone over some of that basic stuff, okay, it's really, in my opinion, when it comes to all that stuff, it's all based on personal preference, right? So it's up to you guys to determine, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it, and go from there, right? So I don't usually say this is the ideal, blah, 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 cookie cutter, none of that. It's just you explore and discover on your own. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're now going to shift into how the gameplay for an engineer is. We're going to start with armor. Best way to, set your outfit or your loadout as an infantry in an armor is, in my opinion, focus on anti-armor. So if you're already doing armor and your tank blows up and you're outside of your armor, you want to also be killing armor, right? So tank mines, caltrops, short bow or archer, all good options for killing tanks. Ammo printer and sweeper HUD for making sure you have less ammo, and also making sure you don't run into tank mines. Okay, I have repair grenades and the grenade bandolier as well, and then the mana turret, so that way I can shoot a short bow shot, go to the mana turret, shoot that, and while that's reloading, switch again and do that kind of dance. Okay, but we're gonna focus on mostly just doing armor. So I'm gonna switch class or loadouts. Boop. Okay, and we're going to get some tanks, vehicles to just play around with. Okay, so just pull a vehicle or get into a vehicle depending on whatever it is. I have a Prowler. So whenever you're using vehicles, usually you want to go towards using engineer class. With air you can get away with not, and with flashes you can get away with not, right? Depending on what you're trying to do. The other thing is with, you know, if you're just using the vehicle to get from point A to point B, you can be an infiltrator, whatever it might be, right? Air, you can get away with being an infiltrator in case you die and want to hack a turret or hack something. But usually in the way of armor, it's been my experience that having yourself be an engineer is more likely than not the best option, okay? So, armor moves, blah, blah, blah. Let's say we're going over here. And we encounter enemies. We start fighting them. I'm just going to sit right here so everybody can just sit right here. Okay. And now we've been hit so much that we need to repair, right? Now, in an armor sense, we're not doing armor training, but armor training would say go into cover. Once you're in cover, what you do is hop out and start repping, right? And you don't stay static. You want to do what's called the rep dance. So you just kind of shuffle along and make sure you're not an easy target for a sniper or another tank, right? You could then also throw your repair grenades at this point. And yeah, that's all you do. If your tank dies, you now become anti-armor infantry, and you start shooting them, do whatever you need to help the rest of the squad survive longer and kill. Once that's done, you can then just redeploy and get another tank. That's simple, right? There's really nothing more to it than that. You're a tank guy, so if your tank dies, time to get another tank. That's engineer class way 1, right? So, with that being said, we're going to take a moment. We're going to see if we can get into some quick combat and try and just go over what that looks like. So, in a file with me, this is in no way training for armor, but we might as well train how to be an engineer in our tanks. So, yeah, Executor is coming with something different, and that's okay. You don't have to be a tank. You could be a Sunday. You know, if you're a Sunday driver, try and be an engineer. Why? Well, if you hit mines and you can hide, you can get out and start repping when it's convenient. Versus if you're a squad member or a team member, you don't know if that's the best situation or not, right? Or when that, you know, best time to hop out is. I feel like I'm faster than you guys, so I'm gonna slow down.
You probably got the thing up. Don't you have that
racer?
speed? You do? Yeah, that's probably why. I don't use those. In fact, I need to start putting stuff into my Prowler. I already put
so
a decent amount. So.
we're going around here. Going around here. Watch that air. Yeah, this
I just gotta tell somebody to enemy tanks from under Econom Bob.
Just hop down here. Who put this freaking Spitfire there? Oh, here we go. So, tanks on the road, spread out. Shoot the Vanguard. Focus the Vanguard first. Okay, so now your tank needs rep, back up. So mine somehow died real quick. What is... Tank behind, tank behind.
Yep, I see it.
Focus the Vanguard behind. As you see, if you're watching me, I'm out of my tank because my tank died, and now I'm anti-armor. And I can put my tank binds down. That guy's dead. Okay, and I'm gonna put caltrops down. So then the other tanks can still reapproach this and reattack this at their convenience. And I'm gonna put some caltrops down to stop the enemy from thinking they can just come up over here. You can put 8 down or 4 down of the caltrops, which is cool. Okay, so you guys are gonna reapproach this, and you're just gonna keep shooting these tanks until everybody's dead. Don't worry about dying. The whole point is to just train on, you know, what you're supposed to be doing as an engineer in an armored vehicle. So if I was in a normal situation, I'd be trying to pull another tank if I was doing specifically armor stuff. But I can also, as an engineer, help my buddies. Oh, look, this guy needs reps. Here, I'll just go so he can keep shooting. Ready?
Oh, Gino, I'm so sorry.
So, there we go. So now I want you guys to just ram into these vehicles and die so we can go back to the warp gate and reset. And we'll start going over the second way engineers are used. Because that's pretty self-explanatory and easy, to be honest. Okay, so when you're dead, go back to the warp gate and we'll meet up there. Okay, so second way engineers used infantry. So like I said, there's lots of ways you can do that. Okay, so everybody here, who's not here?
I'm coming.
Okay, don't mind my dog panting in the background if you can hear it.
The MC traitors have taken control of Esamir.
Okay, so infantry as engineers is pretty self-explanatory as well. Basically, we're gonna go to a building that has like a point-ish kind of situation going on with it real quick, and then we'll go into combat as all engineers and then do the same kind of thing.
I've got ammo for you here. I owe you
Sorry. Let's go down over here. Actually, here, I'll show you kind of the reason why I use, okay, don't mind the order guy, it's just... So, reason why I'm going to be using smoke, primarily, so if everybody comes over here, and just get away from this freaking wacko,
I've been pushed below the ground.
then you might want to redeploy. Who's still not over here? Dervon, okay.
We all here.
Okay, let's move. So as we move, if we're getting shot at from that building, I can put smoke up. Or I can throw a grenade. And what it does is it covers our advance. And you want to get it out there as much as possible, right? Now you'll notice it doesn't last the longest, right? So that's why you need a few more than just one. Okay. So, that's why I use smoke, okay? And again, point room, if I throw grenades, you can get them in those corners. They're called offensive grenades at that point, and then you can push in and start clearing this point, right? And our objective is to get right on top of them anyways, so yeah, it just plays into favor. Okay, so, as an engineer, you are support. So, main thing, ammo down. Put it in a central location or in a location with cover, so that way people can get easily ammoed up. If you have the Spitfires, place them in areas where you think that can support the group, okay? While also offering firing lanes. If you got hard light barriers, there's two ways of using those. One is like Nemo is doing right here. Okay, it's either cover or movement denial, right? So either, yeah, like on the stairs is cover. If I put it in this doorway, it's now movement denial because Buddy has to hop over it before he can get into the room, okay? If you have a mana turret, the infantry mana turret, does anybody have that? Okay, I want you to put it down over here on an angle that I'm looking. Right,
Well,
kind of
it's
right
kind of
here.
blowing up. When you put it down, it's...
Oh, is it blowing up? Oh, okay, hold on. Come over this way then. Everybody follow me.
The warp gate thing.
It is a warp gate thing. We're just gonna hop out of the warp gate for a second, so we can. I can show you just the angle thing, right?
Use that tree probably.
That's what I'm thinking. So whoever has one, you're gonna put it down, like right here, angled towards that little hill thing I'm shooting at over there. Okay, not. We can't stack them. Okay, whoever this is, hop on it, please. Everybody else, come over here and look at the turret. Okay? So, everybody's over here looking at the turret. Stiffy, look straight at that hill that you placed it originally. Or, sorry, Ghost, not Stiffy. Ghost, look at the hill I was shooting at. Okay, so from this angle, we can shoot him. Right? Pretty easily, not bad. But at the front, right, it's kind of hard to shoot him. But if he looks this way, right at us now, it's even harder to shoot at him. Because if you look straight on, there is a way to shoot underneath this angled part at the bottom for a foot shot. Okay? And also, if you look at his head, so if you keep looking this way. Yeah, look this way, Ghost. Look this way. His head is kind of off, right? So you have to be very at the specific angle. Is that the furthest you can look to the left?
Cease fire, you're hitting TR.
Yeah, okay. So if you were looking directly at him at this angle, right, that he's looking, go all the way to the left, all the way to the left, yeah. Okay. And he's looking straight at you, you won't be able to see his head. Okay, if you're looking straight on right now, right? So that's the ideal. Usually what you want to do is you want to set up your furthest most angles in cover. So that way they can't shoot you in any way, shape, or form when they're looking straight at you at this angle. And then any angle they are from there, again, just makes it harder and harder and harder and harder, right? Mana turret, or sorry, anti-vehicle mana turret. Does anybody have that one? That one, it doesn't make a difference. It's wide open. There's no cover. So you see these ones, they have the shield. That's like the hard light shield. Okay, nobody can shoot at it. I don't even think you can shoot through it. Yeah, you can't shoot through it. So it's protection, right? Whereas the anti-vehicle, there's no such thing. Okay, does that make sense?
Ammunition here. On it.
Okay. So, where would you want to put down a mana turret? Anybody?
Ammunition here.
Okay, so let's go back in the building. Let's go back in the building.
Like in the top part of a mountain where it's kind of discreet, but then you could still hit them.
No, not a anti-vehicle one. We're talking about a mana.
Oh, a mana turret.
Yeah,
Okay.
anti-infantry mana turret.
I thought you said AV.
That's okay. So if we were at this point, and let's say we decided we were going to hold back a little bit, where would you think it would be a good spot? And I want you to stand on it. Good spot to put down a mana turret with the knowledge that we're not going to be right on the doors. Okay. Hop when you have a spot. Okay. So, let's go over it. If you're in a spot, stay in the spot. If you're not in a spot, go right by the doors, please. If you didn't pick a spot.
Hey guys, is the
Okay.
training still ongoing?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if okay, let's go look at it. Jemmy, why do you think this is a good spot?
Ready, where is it?
So don't get outflanked on the right and left.
Okay.
Double doors in here.
We're on Emery.
Are you talking about these double doors over here?
Yeah, I'm assuming the
Is
double
it
doors
a
are
squad?
I don't know if
Yeah.
anything's good or not.
Ask Gina to invite.
Yeah, I mean, even in either one of these situations, if you're here, yeah, I mean, you could cover a lot of space, right? You're just going to be very open to attacks from the opposite side of where you're looking, right? So long as you're aware of that, right, then you're fine. Now, there is ways to counter that. What way is there to counter that? Easy. Hard light barrier. So if you have the mana turret hard light barrier combo, you should be able to set yourself up where you can make like a hard light barrier so they can't shoot you at like your legs or anything. They gotta hit your head, right? Which chances are they're going to anyways. Okay, so that's a decent spot for in the way of coverage for assaulting or defending a door with bullets, right? Just not in the way of protecting yourself, right? So let's go over to Executor. Executor's got the same idea. It's all about coverage. He's protected by the actual corner. Nobody can flank him. But again, if he's looking at this door over here, right, then he's going to obviously get shot at over here. So long as he's aware of that, he can find ways to mitigate that. But also, that's why he has a squad. Now, the bad part. What's the bad part of being so far back?
You can accidentally shoot friendlies.
Exactly. You've got the potential to shoot friendlies just as much, and everybody knows people have a tendency, if they're up here and they don't have any kind of situational awareness, they pop out, and next thing you're shooting them, right? So being so far back isn't necessarily the best thing. In Jemmy's position, he's too far back from the doors over that side, but he's perfectly placed for the doors over here. And the reason he's perfectly placed is because chances are ain't nobody's going to be standing on this wall if they're defending, or this wall, or even this corner, unless they're kind of doing a C4 trick thing. And even then, that's one person versus a whole track load of people, right? Okay, so Dervon, your, yeah, I mean, corners are always the most vulnerable for grenades, 100%. Even Jemmy's is way too vulnerable because grenades go one of two ways. Either they go way deep in those corners, like they're supposed to, or they're way too short, and they blow up right in your face, right? So, that's where Dervon... Now, Dervon, where's your turret facing?
Right about this way.
Okay, so your turret's facing this way, which means your max, you're not even going to reach this door over here at all, right? You'll probably reach the door...
Maybe a little closer to here is probably where I wanted to go.
Okay. So again, you're going for the idea of coverage, right? Still got to be concerned about, possible flanks. However, you've got the space to work with, right? So if you have an engineer buddy that's got another man-hour hard light barrier, you can do like a hard light barrier here, a hard light barrier over here, right, at that AI turret, or even an, AI turret kind of off back this way, right, so as not to bother your coverage area, right, and still supports you in some way, shape, or form. So not a bad place whatsoever. It also gets away from the grenades zones, right, because again, they're either going to go way back or way short as the majority of the time. Even think about when you're own throwing grenades, right, or when I was throwing them in here. They were either way in the corner or they were about in this area right here, right? So knowing that, Durvon says, okay, this is the best spot. It's open, and if I need to, I can hop off this turret. I've got cover to work with here. I've got cover to work with here. So not a bad spot whatsoever. You just got to remember, again, possible flanks. Nemo, why did you pick here?
It provides cover from those two doors while providing full suppression of these two doors.
Well, actually, you would probably be standing about here with your turret, because your turret is deployed like slightly back from the actual corner. So, and again, you'll probably have some interruption of your fire from this stupid little lippy thing here, right? So you'll probably be every third bullet will be hitting here or something like that, depending on where you're aiming too. I wish I could actually place one down and see, right? But okay, somebody dealing with Cookie. He might have to hit enter on the numpad, by the way. If he can't hear me, but he can hear everybody else. Okay, so that's where the potential problems are here, is if you're only facing this way, they can shoot you in the back pretty easily, because you're not going to be in this corner. You're going to be sticking out a bit. That's the only problem there, plus the potential for not being able to shoot over this thing. Ghost, where are you? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Where's your turret aiming?
I was gonna use this big thing right here as like cover and look around down the stairs.
Okay, yeah, so you're good for one door, right? And you do have lots of cover of your own, except for the back, right? Which is a huge potential problem, right? But even then, too, you're only covering one door, really. This other door is wide open for them to sneak around, so they get in. Whoop, you don't even see them at all, right? They're already behind you, kind of thing. So that placement would actually be probably better if this situation was true and these doors weren't open, like they aren't. You would probably be better off on this corner, right? With your turret kind of facing this way. Because now, from this position, if you turn your turret anywhere this way, your head shifts to that right. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a better place then. Cookie can't hear me, can he?
Ooh.
No, now I can.
Okay, you can. Okay, perfect. Did you? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, where I would put it is very, very tough. I would probably put him more over here if I had a choice. Okay, it's just slightly away from the corner, away from that short zone. I could put the turret right here so I can turn it and get that angle and that angle too. Yes, I'm open when I'm looking to the left from this side, obviously. However, I can still, when I'm looking this way, quickly draw back that way, right? Especially if I place it properly. Hard light barrier also mitigates a little bit of that. And if I have that AI turret, again, it's shooting, warning me that there's guys over here. So just quickly turn, kind of thing. So at any point, you'll notice none of them have 100%. There's always the potential for one side or the other, right? If all these doors were open, right? If the doors aren't open, it's even better for you because then you can focus on the hard points that you need to. So now let's go out here onto the big stairs, small stairs, because this is a really popular option for us too. So where would you put a turret? Chances are right here on an angle, right? Because when you look over, your body is going to be somewhat over behind this wall, and your head's going to be shifted right behind the hard light barrier, right? So all you're doing is you're giving them bullets, and they're not able to shoot you very well at all. But you have to make sure you get that angle right. But it also means you can't put a hard light barrier here. You would have to put it further down that stairway, right? On this side, you're really not going to get away from anything except for this doorway again. Same thing. You can put one right here, and that would give you the best coverage, right? Otherwise, you would have to put one right here and just deal with the fact that you have less coverage, but you're protected. And then you just gotta make sure people have your back, kind of thing. Make sense? Now here's a question: where would you put ammo in this area?
Ammunition here.
I've got
Ammunition,
ammo
got
for you
extra
here.
ammunition here.
Okay.
I've got ammo for you
Take
here.
some ammunition.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't a wrong thing when it comes to ammo. You just shouldn't have two ammos in the same spot. So realistically, probably in the middle more of the area or middle of these squares. Okay, on every square would probably be, or maybe even 2 squares would be good enough, right? But yeah, I mean, the more ammo, the better, kind of thing, right? Claymores are the best at doorways, right around corners, you know, on angles are the best because if they don't see it at all, right? So you'd put it like kind of here on an angle, okay? There's a way of doing it. And then if they come around this corner, it's too late, right? On an angle, it's less visible than on a sharp angle. Any questions?
I've also found that if you put it in, sometimes in cover spots, they will instinctively go to that cover spot before looking.
Can friendly claymores be blown up and kill allies?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So if you're defending an area, should we be putting down claymores,
No.
or should we just leave off that?
So let's go with this situation right here. Big stairs, small stairs. Okay? Big stairs, small stairs should not have any claymores on them because we're at big stairs, small stairs. Where we could put a claymore is on these back doors over here, right? Over there and over here. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The other thing you can do too is small stairs down here. You can put one here. You can put one over here, right? You can put one at these bottom doors because we're not at those doors. And we want to kill as many of them before they get to us as much as possible, right? And delay them as long as possible. You can even be sneaky and put one, if you really think they're not going to notice it, right about here, right, on an angle. But that's usually not going to happen. Okay, questions? Okay, so let's get.
I have a comment I'd like to make.
Sure.
If you have just tank mines instead of claymores and you're still defending inside, you can place them just like claymores in case of max crash.
So the problem is though, is the same as the claymores, right? There's the potential for it blowing up from grenades, from getting shot, any of that stuff, right? So you'll have it down probably in front of you, around corners, at doors, all that fun stuff. You won't put it right at a door, like this one is down here. Because again, if anybody sees it, they'll kill it first before it's useful. It's again, you gotta hide it behind those corners, right? Okay, so everybody
Ammunition here.
come with me. We're gonna get a gal, we're gonna get into a point holdy situation. I want you all to get your Sunday best. We're just gonna do it with engineers
Okay,
until we
okay.
all die. What?
Okay. I
So
was gonna say, are we all staying engineer?
yeah, everybody's gonna stay engineer. We're gonna see just how, you know, useful this engineer can be.
We
And
should put down as many auto fire turrets as we can.
I want you guys to use what you want to use to see what you can use in those situations. And if you have the tactical overlay part or the tactical equipment thing, yeah, I mean, doing the Spitfire turret, if you have it, makes the most sense in this situation. Go ahead, who was it?
I don't see why some people call the engineer the weakest class.
It's the weakest class because of the kind of weapon it uses, plus what it's really meant to do, right? It's meant to just put...
When I think they say,
yep,
like weak and strong, they mean like aggressiveness, really.
I mean, the engineer is like the support class of Planet Side 2, so they aren't the front line. At the same time, they're invaluable.
So, engineer, let's look at it. What does it have as a mitigation against enemies, right? Can't cloak, can't heal yourself, don't have a lot of armor or shields, or the ability to buff your armors or shields with a ability, right? Or a suit, majorly, right? Your mostly big important job is putting ammo down. Carbines are really only good for, you know, close-ish range to mid-range. And,
Man. Which one are we going to? The tree edge station?
Quick note on ammo placement. If we're holding a point, always throw a ammo pack down on the point. That way your infill always knows where you can go back to get ammo for starts.
yes. And one on the point is vital. Absolutely vital. So we're gonna drop.
Don't die. That's my advice.
We're gonna drop on the roof. And everybody out.
Don has beacon.
Okay, watch, there's guys around. There's a Max right there. Okay, let's get on that point. Smoke going down. Somebody we got a beacon, right?
We do.
Oh, more mines.
Beacon's dead.
Oh, we need a new one then. So much
got it.
smoke.
New beacon.
Take some ammunition.
So, what do we do?
Placing down walls.
Focusing on what?
Pressing doors.
Sign down turrets.
Set down those AI turrets or the Spitfire turrets and get on big stairs, small stairs. Because the AI turret are the
Can you have
Spitfires.
those type of turrets? Oh my god, you can't have those type of turrets out.
Okay, I'm gonna put a hard light barrier on the back again. Okay, so big stairs, small stairs. Put the ammo down. Yeah, if you got an AI turret or those mana turrets, use them. You're an engineer now, or a heavy now, by doing that, right? Yeah, so the mana turrets make it so that our back is covered. We got a squad worth of people at our back, right? So everybody should be big stairs, small stairs. Except for Damon, Cookies, and Stiffy. Because they have their turrets inside. But yeah, everybody else, there you go, perfect. Everybody that's got a turret is now essentially a heavy.
Push the advance.
Oh, they're about to breach.
Where?
Vinny, we don't have EMP grenades, okay. Wait, no, you can destroy it. If you shoot the shield, we can destroy it. I think we can
Jump
destroy it. At least.
downstairs.
Maybe I was wrong. Never mind. Careful, we have a sniper.
There you go.
The facility is ours.
Okay, let's push and clear. There's enemy study here. Have we got tank lines?
Yeah, you did.
Well, then let's just farm it.
Behind you guys.
We got mines on it. Sending destroyed.
Clear that. Perfect. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay, well, that's the engineer class. It's as simple as it gets, especially in a squad setting. There's really nothing more to it. So all the classes are basically pretty simple. Once you get to understand their functions, how their guns work, it really plays into everything together, right?
I'm just wondering, have we done a medic training yet?
No. We've done heavy, we've done info.
We
engineer.
did do heavy? Okay, yeah, I gotta check that
The
out.
next one is going to be medic that I'm going to end up doing.
I definitely gotta be there for that one.
How about freaking grenades? Okay.
You gonna get in there and knife him, Gina?
Nope. So I'm going to stop the recording for the training.